Madhouse Podcasting Network.
Be yourself.
Will do.
I know you're.
No problem.
I know you're going to be anyways.
What, me?
You. Oh my god, this is going to be a fun one. All right, well,
Awesome.
let's get this started. So,
Okay.
All right, well, welcome again, guys, to another episode of Behind the Mask. Today is a very special one for me personally. We have a very, very special guest, Chris Mendez, aka Sweet Cheeks.
Sweet Cheeks.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
It's been a while. So Chris has an old school haunter like myself. He and I have I won't say the exact same history, but we started the same year, Ghost Town.
Yeah, same timeline for the most part.
Same timeline. So we'll get into it. But
Okay. Now we're having a conversation. Boom. Hey. And we're back.
And we're back. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty. That's okay,
That's
though.
fine.
You know?
That's fine.
That's technology for you. So,
back with Behind the Mask with Jeremy Ontiveros.
Oh, more so Chris Mendez.
Co-host Chris Mendez.
Yes, my co-host for the day, Chris Mendez. We will be talking about his timeline and history at Not Scary Farm as a ghost town streets monster.
Woo!
So first and foremost, again, how you doing, man? How you been?
Busy. Yeah. When COVID hit, I think I was going into how a lot of my friends, performers, we all had eggs in multiple baskets. I was working at Pirates Dinner Adventure. I was working at Disney. And I had multiple shows within Disney. So I was like, okay, I'm good. And then COVID hits and then all of entertainment just goes away. Bye-bye. See you later. And so that was a process. That was a pretty eye-opening experience, because if this does happen in the future, I need to be prepared for that. And a lot of my friends were not prepared for that. I had a lot of friends that were in Frozen at Disney and a lot of friends that were in Mickey's Magical Map at Disney. And both of those shows got cut.
Completely cut? Yeah,
because of, it was just one of those things where those two shows had the biggest casts. I can't speculate more just because I'm not operational at Disney, but it's just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, it could happen. Luckily, I am still furloughed with Disney.
Oh,
so
very cool.
I'm still on with them. I still have my medical benefits. Thank you. Thank you, Disney. Thank you, Disney.
Yes.
Yeah. So super happy about that. And so luckily we had our medical benefits throughout the entire experience. But it was rough. It was mentally depressing.
Oh, I can imagine.
I have not been that creatively depressed ever in my life. It was just one of those things where, what am I going to do? Luckily, I had some friends that had needed help. I helped out a buddy with setting up his own recording studio, complete with like green screen and everything like that, and all the sound. My brother was graceful enough to start using me as an audio guy, so an audio engineer. So I started going on UFC gigs and helping him out as a camera assistant and just getting to know all of his gear so that I could be one step ahead of him, so that when he just looks at me, I already got like a battery pack ready. So just little skills that I never had before. I had to cultivate just for this. And then EDD, California EDD. I mean, I was very fortunate enough to not have many issues with that.
Yeah.
And so signing up and so yeah, it was a struggle. It was pretty rough. We binge watched a lot of stuff, and
I can imagine.
it was very surreal. And it was, of course, the election was going on during all of that, which is exhausting.
Yeah.
Mentally and emotionally.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned, creative depression, because I went through it as well. I was fortunate enough to still have fully remote. I've been trying to do ever, so that worked out for me. But I know, like, I went through a creative depression, and I understand what that's like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's rough. It's unnatural. It's like, this isn't me. But it's like, okay, yeah, you got to listen to yourself.
Yeah,
because if you don't, then you'll just kind of spiral to darker places.
Yeah, it can really screw you up.
Yeah, it can. But it messed with a lot of my friends, and they expressed it on Facebook. It was heartbreaking, especially when Disney started. They had to do all those layoffs.
Yeah,
there were how many? There were 29,000 cast members laid off between the cruise line, our resort here in California, and Florida. And it was just devastating. My wife was one of those that was laid off. And it was just one of those things where luckily, thankfully, I was wherever I was on the roster to not be one of those that was, I was fortunate enough to be furloughed and continue to be. So basically waiting for the call from Disney, and I'm not in any hurry because I got a job as soon as they opened up. I got a job at my bucket list show, Waterworld in Universal Studios, Florida. Not Florida, Hollywood.
I was gonna say.
I was like in Florida land. I was like, oh man, they went through a lot. But Florida is a different country in our country.
It really is.
Sorry, it really is. It's a different. Okay. But Universal Studios Hollywood right here. And this has been a bucket list show. It's been a 16-year, one of those things that I've been chasing for 16 years because first auditioned in 2005. I've auditioned for multiple characters within the show. And just each time it was like, it didn't work out. But each time it didn't work out, my life was planning something else in the future.
Yeah.
It was preparing me for whatever I was going to navigate. And it just landed right. Thankfully, the connections landed right in my lap, and I pulled the trigger, and everything worked out. Everything clicked. I'm happy to say I nailed the audition. And it's been an incredible, amazing journey where I'm now, I lost a lot of weight too, because I gained a lot of weight. That was also depressing. Yeah, I weighed the most I've ever weighed in my life.
14-15, man.
Yeah, it was sad and depressing. I was like, oh no. So thankfully, a Waterworld came around right at that time where I was really starting to be like, oh, I need to turn things around. And then this happened. And I was like, okay, this is my thing. So I worked hard, and I took as many steps possible as I could to get to different places. And I treated everything like a workout. Nice, everything. Dude. Like, she's like, my wife says, hey, can you get the laundry from upstairs? I'm like, yes. Whoop, up the stairs. And I truck it. Okay. And I got my Apple Watch and is counting my steps. I'm like, okay, don't let me down. So yeah, it was one of those things. But I lost 10 pounds since May.
Oh, good for you, dude.
Yeah, just actually more than 10 pounds. But this is not a show about weight loss. This is a show about entertainment. And so I'm super happy about where I'm at with Universal, and cannot wait to receive that call from Disney. It's like, welcome back. In whatever form, doesn't matter.
No, exactly. And I give kudos to Disney. I have my personal thing with Disney, but I give them kudos for doing their best to keep everybody on payroll throughout COVID for as long as they could.
It was real hard.
And unfortunately they can only do so much and have to make that. But they put everybody on furlough. I know a lot of people got brought back, and you'll be brought back. They're just trying to find that. They're going to try and find that one show.
It's timing. Yeah, I still have. I have 3 shows of knowledge over there. I don't know if that's something I can actually say.
We won't talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so I cannot wait to receive that call from Disney and say, hey, guess what, buddy?
That's right.
You're coming back.
And they will, and they will. They'll do it soon, man. They're just trying to find that position for you. But we will talk about the other theme park that we've both worked at. Not Beauty Farm.
Knott's.
Knott's. You know, the official KSF. Ghost Town Streets, man. So let's start where we start everybody off at. What made you go to Knott's Scary Farm? What made you audition?
What made me audition? I had been going to Scary Farm with my brother and our friends for quite a few years, 3 or 4 years, maybe even more. And we saw The Hanging. We watched The Hanging. We watched all those rock stars in our eyes, sliding on their knees. And we were like, what the fuck is this shit? This is amazing. This crowd is turned up. And these guys have them in the palm of their hand. They have just, it's such a nice, empowering, confident feeling to have the attention of an entire crowd. You know, it's how many people fit in Calico Square? He's like, just quickly, how many people? It's like
few hundred, that's for sure.
At least a few hundred, 500,
maybe. If you squeeze them
you're
in,
shoulder to shoulder, it's like probably 4 or 500 people. It could be. And then you got the big the screens on the side, and you got the cameras that are focusing on the attention of all the sliding. And then, I mean, we came in when, so was the sliding happening perpendicular to the stage when we came in? Yeah. No. But it was right prior to us. So they were doing sliding towards the stage.
No, they were doing it parallel to the stage.
Parallel.
Yes. So, so Scott and I got into this big debate.
I can't remember. The timeline's messed up.
Yeah, and he and I got in this debate. I know the timeline. And and it's very possibly he could be slightly correct, but maybe before. But I know when you and I started in '97, it was parallel to the stage.
Right.
Okay, and then when we actually got invited to be a part of it in '98, it was parallel. Right. And then so we did that for 2 years officially. You and I did it for 2 years because we were bone brothers for one, and then for both years we were bone brothers, but we did our little fight act. Right. Okay, which we'll get into. We'll get into that later. But yes, so I'm kind of thinking that we called it the alley when it went perpendicular towards the stage. Yeah. Okay.
That happened probably just because the hanging needed a procession.
That's exactly that's exactly why it happened.
Need something go through the crowd.
Yeah, and that's when and I believe that happened in '99. Okay.
Makes sense.
Again, I've told everybody, man, comments, let us know, because I'm so freaking almost positive that's it, because I know for a fact you and I did the parallel one, the one up in the front, for 2 years. I know that for a fact because we did the fight scene 1 year.
The hand balancing Cirque du Soleil stuff.
Yeah.
With your foot behind my neck.
Yes.
That lean back thing.
Yes, we did that. We only did it that 1 year.
That was straight across the front of the stage.
Yes. Yeah. So, okay. So we'll get into all that. But so we get back to the audition. So
what made
you apply?
Want to apply? It was that amazing sense of, it was all the people that I looked up to. It was that energy that was chaotic, and it was controlled, but loosely controlled.
Yeah.
And it was just a party atmosphere, and it was scary, and it was the first one. It was the haunt that had started it all. Often duplicated, often imitated, never duplicated. Yeah. One of those things where it was a status thing. It was just one of those things where I didn't care where I was going to end up during that audition in '97. I didn't care. I was like, I'll take whatever. Amaze, that's fine. I had not a whole lot of knowledge of what it was like to work haunt. And then luckily they were hiring that year. They were hiring it was the 1,000 monsters.
Well, total. Yeah. Ghost Town alone, I believe, was at 100.
Yeah, which was the highest they had ever hired for Ghost Town Streets, right?
And it's funny, yeah, and it's funny too because when you and I auditioned, you can probably vouch on that. I don't, from what I remember, you and I are the only two that got Ghost Town in our group because we were the only two running around like a bunch of fucking knuckleheads.
Yeah,
in the audition,
it was you, me, and then I think Jovan.
Jovan
got Streets too. Yeah, Jovan Silva.
He wasn't in our little group though. You and I were. He was in a different group.
Yeah, he was a different crew.
So
we were just talking about that day when I met Jovan outside the audition. It was just one of those things where like that. Oh, little did we know that was the beginning of our friendship.
Yeah,
that lasted how many decades now?
Oh, right. It's crazy.
I can say that and not. Oh my god!
Because you and I didn't actually meet. I didn't even realize. It took me. I couldn't even remember. I didn't realize that I was auditioning with you.
Right.
So like you and I went to orientation, and I think we found you somehow like mentioned it, and we were in conversation with some other people, and I was like, we're in the same. I had no idea. It's so funny, but you and I didn't start talking until orientation.
Right. Yeah.
Which was when
we just sat at the same table, right?
We sat in the same area. We next to each other, I think.
Yeah.
And hit it off, and it was crazy. You and I clicked instantly, and we were both on point with everything. Even when it came to the sliding, when Craig said, "Oh, if you guys want to go slide, go talk to all the vet knuckleheads," and we did. And then you and I realized, there's a lot of people sliding. Maybe we shouldn't slide at first. So
smart move.
And it was because we realized what everybody was doing wrong and went in there and kicked their ass.
That technique has gotten me so many gigs, like where you're auditioning with a group of people, and then you see what everybody's doing. And then if you can go last, like that's the best in the world. Cause then you can be like, they did that. I'm going to knock them out of the park with this other random thing that's going to make them remember me.
Yep.
So that was definitely the start of that kind of mentality.
Yeah. You always want to go either first or last.
Yep.
Make the impression on each side.
You set the bar or you raise it.
Exactly.
Right?
So orientation, you go to orientation, you just slide, we talk to the vets. Like, what was your thought process behind, the sliding thing? Like you obviously you wanted to do that. You were instantly.
Yeah. I was super, super attracted to that. It was just one of those things where I'd never seen the human body do that kind of movement under its own propulsion, if that makes sense. It's one of those things where you go from 0 to how fast? At least 13 miles an hour, which is super fast. I've been hit by a car at 13 miles an hour and it hurt a lot. It's super fast, and you can it's just the power of your own body engaging that and just finding that centrifugal force and the perfect time to hit that and having the right gear, man. Finding the right gear was quite a process.
Yeah,
it was like, you had to make sure you had the DBS pads or something. What were those DBSs?
Oh my gosh, the DBSs are the first pair, the best. Those were the best.
I think I still have mine. I'll bet you if I looked right in my closet right now, I'd probably find them in my stunt bag at the bottom.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, they're super awesome. And it was like landing on a sponge. But then you had that speed. It was just that absorption of all that energy and the transfer of that energy into that forward motion that, if you had the right tools, you could really sail.
Yeah.
And we started testing how far you could sail, like out on roller hockey rinks and stuff like that, where really smooth, where we could find parks. Like we would, because this was pretty much before all of Facebook, and it was like, what was it, MySpace back then? If that. Like
this was before MySpace.
Oh no, this is way before. This is like the birth of the internet.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that was a scary sentence.
That totally aged us.
No, but seriously, it was one of those things where we were like, all we had was pagers and phone numbers.
Yeah. Freaking
I had a
pagers.
pager.
But we had cell
And
phones too. We had the cell
We had
phones back
cell
then.
phones, and they were this big. No.
Close enough.
You had to crank it.
Mm-hmm.
No. No, but it was if somebody found like a really good park or a really good just a part of a park like that would spread kind of like on the underground. It's like, oh yeah, you can go to this park. Or the school we went to
Rancho,
a school.
my high school.
Yeah, in Westminster. Where
No,
was that?
that was Westminster High. We actually went
Westminster.
there too. We always went looking for high schools, but like
Yeah, we found some really good
the one that we went to a lot for a few years was my old high school, Rancho,
Rancho,
which is in Garden Grove. Well, Stanton.
That's right.
Yep, it's right by my house. Well, actually, it was by my parents' house. So, but yeah, I mean that's the gliding. I mean, it's like I had mentioned this before in a couple other episodes. Like for me, it wasn't like I knew nothing about it, you know, and so when I know and for me, I just wanted to stand out. You know, and you know, obviously you were the same way because we're in agreement of like, yeah, let's just not slide for the first weekend, or let's just wait and see what happens, and kind of wait and do our own thing. And that's when Chris and Scott and Trish approached us at Birdcage and was like, "You guys sliding?"
Yeah,
you know. So and they kind of created two monsters.
Oh man, they are directly responsible,
literally,
for a lot of shenanigans.
Oh God,
the shenanigans aplenty.
So tell me about your experience on your first year. You were we weren't twins.
We weren't twins. No, I had some random ugly Swamp Thing kind of ugly mask, and I had like a wig that was sewn to it that looked like some. It was like it had curls, like it was a can dancer's wig from the past. Which I'm pretty sure it probably was.
And I have a photo of that.
I'm sure. Yeah. And it was just like one of those things where it's like, just had a vest and just the thing and just jeans. And we were all trying to get by and just try to tame this beast. We're just kind of set loose with minimal direction. Yeah. They had rules, but they didn't have a whole lot of this is what you should do. Like they had outlines, but then that in itself created like a vacuum of creativity. Yep. And so we started getting real creative with our scares and how we were displaying ourselves and how much comedy we would interject. And you know, because people like to be scared. They like that feeling of dread when they feel like they're about to die. But also, if you can chuck some comedy in there and make them laugh at the same time as being scared shitless, I mean, that is probably one of the best feelings ever in life. It's just like the two direct opposites of the human experience in one moment. And as soon as you and I figured out that, you know, we could just be clever and charming, there's a certain level of charm that came to our characters. There was just like kind of like you were a little bit more of a ladies' man, like you would just walk around, put your arm around girls, and then it's kind of like the raptors in Jurassic Park, where you were like that decoy, and then I just come out of nowhere, just right at your ankles, and you'd scream, and we'd both scream, and we'd land on the floor, like we'd jump into trees, we'd fall out of trees. It was chaos. It was organized chaos.
It's just like I told.
They trusted us a lot. Let's just say that they trusted us a lot that year. Yeah. And there were some people that obviously shouldn't have earned that trust. But the ones that made it through, we learned a lot that year about what it's like, that sense of power, being behind a mask and knowing that nobody knows who you are. When it's just that it's very powerful. It's that confidence. It's
crazy what a mask, a costume.
Yeah.
It definitely, and that's the only reason why I ended up coming like horror guy. My confidence level was like, I don't don't give a shit. And it's like,
Yeah.
what? You don't know what I look like, you know?
You don't know who I am. I'm never going to see you again. Let's just
Exactly.
enjoy this one moment.
And it's funny because that like completely changed my mentality as a person in general, you know, when
Yeah.
it came to that kind of stuff. So it's just like,
Oh yeah. I found out who I was going to be in the future
yeah.
around that time.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, all right.
I remember when you and I, like, the first weekend, I don't remember like the exact things, but I know like when we clicked when we first met,
Mhm.
and then we got out there, we weren't even sliding, we were sharing, roaming
Yeah.
around together, and it
But
just
also observing.
and, yeah, but yeah, exactly. We're observing, learning, because we were both really green
Yeah.
and trying to figure it out. But you and I as partners clicked.
Yeah.
I instantly saw what you were good at, and then vice versa, and then we used it.
Yeah.
And then when sliding came, it just took it to such another level. And fuck, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was.
There was the core of vets that, started it all. You got the Todds and the Wades and, the Trishes and the Scotts and everybody. And then you had the people just after them started getting a little bit more creative and a little bit more ballsy.
Right.
And that made the vets get more ballsy, which in turn made their amazing rock star status in my head like even more, because they're starting to try to do stuff that we were messing around with. And it's just that confidence when you're looking up to somebody that you really respect and you don't even really know them as a person until later on, until the hazing starts and they're like, okay, these new kids are gonna, all right, we'll let them in our little club. But I mean, just seeing them react to this new energy that came up, that we brought, the new creativity, it's like, it was empowering and such a great feeling.
I know it's funny because like we're always trying to get,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's like, so we go that first year, we found our groove. That first year comes and we're at the end of it, and we're, let me know if I'm incorrect or correct, but you and I didn't come up with the twins thing, right? Didn't one of the vets suggest you guys probably should be twins? Or
Who
was
got
it
the mask first?
I did.
You did.
Yeah, because my first year I had this same mask, but I had long Michael Jackson hair.
Right. Yeah.
And then the second year, I don't
You're like Halloween Club.
Yep. Yeah, I tore. I think I kept the same mask, but I tore the wig off. Dude, I had that mask for so long.
Yeah.
It's the fog between the fog and the sweat and everything. It just became gooey and brittle, and it just shattered.
Disintegrated.
Hence the reason why I had to buy a new one.
That's okay.
Now
That's
I
okay.
got to find the wig, but I switched out the wig to a short. And when we did the twins thing,
Mhm.
I don't remember who came up with the idea of us being skeletons. I think I don't remember.
I really, really, really like the idea of the articulated mask, the mask that moved with your jaw.
Okay.
Like that was something I was fascinated with, and I didn't get that my first year. That's not what they
Yeah.
said. Reach into the bin and grab a mask. And it was a cardboard bin
Yep.
that was like 6 feet big. And it
Yep.
was just masks filled with wigs. And I was like, okay, this thing. And then they're like, okay, cool. And they took that and they're like, we'll just put this wig on it. And like the next day I'm going out there it's
Yeah.
like, okay.
And I did the same thing, but I picked out the one I picked. I'm like, hell no, I'm not wearing this. This is so. I put it on. I'm like, really? Like it's all going like this.
Yeah, that was my first mask.
Yes.
And I know I have. I'll try to. I know I have photos of me. In
I
that
have
mask.
photos. You're already in a couple of the episodes, so I already have it.
Okay, cool.
It's right down here, guys. It's
all right.
It's right down here, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I could have swore I really do think I don't remember who it was, but maybe but I know somebody had mentioned, you guys should be twins because we work so well together. We are already partners at that point.
Yeah.
We're locked together. So
we were already doing that kind of assist scare where, you know, it's a decoy and assist and decoy and assist. And the vets saw that we worked really well together. And they're like, yeah, if you guys were twins, that would turn this energy up a lot.
Yeah. So we twinned it out.
We weren't the only twins. I mean, they had the pig sisters.
We were, other than the pigs.
Okay.
It was us and the pigs.
And then Mike and Paul didn't do their thing.
They didn't do their thing till later. And they were only twins when they did Spawn.
Right.
And then that's you know, that was a couple of years later where we all went out as like quads. You know, the quad.
Oh, those nights were crazy.
I know, but oh my god. Just trying to keep up with those guys, my god.
yeah no, seriously
yeah, because you and I had a very it wasn't low energy, but it was a very, I don't know how to explain it.
It was suave.
Mm-hmm. It was very
controlled,
calculated,
calculated, and those guys were chaos.
They were all over the place.
They were
everywhere.
screaming like crazy and just like that. Yeah, they had just their own little thing, which was amazing and different. And it didn't matter that we weren't doing the same thing.
I remember
that's what made everything so amazingly better, is because there were so many different people were hit with these different styles of scares. And that's one thing you saw definitely was like kind of a renaissance of people getting creative with their scares.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, it was shaker can.
Yep.
Shaker can. And slam the shaker can against the plywood.
Yeah.
You know, that was your two things. And then you had the freedom of streets. And that was one of the things that people really looked up to. Streets was a status.
It was.
Back then. It was like a fraternity status.
Yeah, it's so different now. I went back in 2015, and that was a completely different experience for me.
Yeah.
But you know, let's get ahead of ourselves. But like, I remember when we talked to Chris or to Paul about, you know, possibly talk to Mel, and she, all right, you know, try it out. And I know Mike and Paul were like, all right, look, you guys gonna have to keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were like, we can keep up with you guys. Come on.
Keep up.
It's the Bone Brothers.
That was an exhausting.
We had like
it was so exhausting.
It was so exhausting.
Yeah.
But it was so fun. We had so much
shared
fun.
we shared that experience. They brought what they had to the table. We brought what we had to the table, and then we just mixed it up and made a jambalaya.
It was
of creative, scary choices, which was super, super fun. Every night.
That's the only part that I'm jealous that we're not running during these times, because we just don't have footage. We don't have anything like in that sense. I have our fight as the spawns on video, a little portion of it.
Okay.
But I have photos of the four of us, you know. But like, I just wish we could have got video footage of us like running around like a bunch of knuckleheads, scaring the shit out of people.
It was before everybody had one of these, you know. It was one of those things. And that was another thing, is the fact that your actions were not going to be broadcast was a different kind of you made different choices based off of that knowledge.
Yeah, it was really, I mean, yeah. And that's the bonus, I guess you could say, of us doing Haunt in the era that we did, because it was special. It was like, you only got it there.
Yeah.
You couldn't see it anywhere else.
Unique experience you couldn't get anywhere else.
Yep.
And now you kind of just go on YouTube and you can go through mazes, and it's all HD and night vision and all that stuff. And it's like, okay. Yeah. But things were different back then.
You can preview before you go and go, I think I can skip it this year. I'll go over here. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It just takes away from the live experience. I've been there too. It's one of those things where life finds a way.
So we're Bone Brothers. We are, you know, we're running, we're doing our thing. What are the best moments that you had as? I know there's a lot.
I mean, there were so many unique experiences. there was the time I got duct taped to the freaking tree. There was the time that we created, what did we created? Arm extensions.
Oh
So
my
we could
gosh,
chase after people like orangutans.
I completely forgot about that.
Blew people's minds. Nobody had done that stuff. And we got it approved through who? Craig?
Right.
Maybe?
No, we got it through Tim. I think it was through Tim. We had
maybe Tim.
It was through wardrobe.
Oh, Timmy, yeah.
Craig did the whole I don't see anything.
Yeah.
He's like,
most great ideas start with that. But we would attack people at a different level. They would not see us coming a foot and a half lower than oh, my brother's calling. What? No, sorry, buddy. I'm a little busy.
How dare he call you on my time?
I know, right?
Aaron.
My brother says hi.
Hi, buddy.
He knows I'm like, yeah. Okay. So the arm extensions, that sticks out in my mind. The day that we found out, and it was probably it was probably frowned upon all the time. But when we found out you could take the lid off of a trash can and use that as kind of a slamming, kind of a percussive boom, and then the fact that there was zero traction, there was, it was like you had your arms full of sex wax. And you can just use that little thing. Like, that was such an amazing thing.
People, you guys watching, like, that technique, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that technique, you think that slapping your hands, like, we had big gloves. And when we first started sliding, we had these big gloves. We talked about it in episode 6 and 7. We have these big gloves, and we would use a slap. We get on the ground, slap, and people would be like, what was that? They don't know. And we're in and out, gone. Imagine those big black plastic lids on the trash can. And monsters, if you guys are not using those right now, fucking use them, because that was like the thunder jug before the thunder jug.
Yes.
And it was better.
Just be sure to put it back.
Yeah, and don't get caught. But
don't get caught.
The thunder jug, this thing is better than the thunder jug, my opinion, because you're utilizing your sliding, and you slam that thing on the ground. Nobody knows where it's coming from. They just hear a noise, and the crowd scatters.
Yeah.
And you're out.
So there you go, from the extreme of that to the night that I was, where was I? Boot Hill, over, where the graves were. And we were hanging with the people, for the cast members from the hanging. And we were just sitting up. They had cast members from the hanging were wearing their scary robes that they go in between the show and the stage and the backstage in. And they were performing the show that I wanted to be in my entire life up until then. Like, I'm like, this is the show I need and want to be in. And they're hanging with us because they want to spend their free time, their break time in between shows, these giant stunt shows with pyro and all that stuff. They're like taking the time to hang with us and just watch us scare. And it was just so simple, from like taking like a branch that was like this long and just being like, scary branch. And people coming out of the maze like, and then, you got that reaction, and then you're like, same thing, scary branch. And then you got that one girl that's like, ah! So yeah. Oh, what was that? Do you hear that? I have an audio issue. Do you hear anything other than my voice?
Nope, I just hear your voice, so you're good.
That's good, but I have to. All right, and we're back.
Yeah, hello. Take 2.
That was your audio. Okay. There we go.
So
where was we?
We was at where were we? Well, we were talking about sliding. We were talking about the lids. And then you were going to bring up something.
What I remembered. We were asking me what I remembered a lot from that. And I remember our little Cirque du Soleil fight thing, which was It was a fight thing that happened before the hanging, right?
Yeah, because the hanging had a pre-recorded,
Right, with the whips
and hits.
Yeah. So
And-
we took that, and did we record it?
We recorded,
then-
yeah, and we
Designed to fight around that.
We did it in your
audio.
house. Yeah, we did it in your house. And we rehearsed that thing like crazy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So like
Stuff that people had not seen before. Like all the vets were like,
well,
what?
What happened? Well,
What are you doing?
Well, let's get into why we did that. So every single time, so there is this, and I'll play it, or I'll play the audio. But every time this would play, we would then at the end, there's always that one, whoosh, that last hit, and you and I would always do something. Whether you hit me onto the pad or I would kick you onto the pad, we'd always do something, and then that's what clicked. You and I were like, dude, we got to do a fight scene of this whole, because people would always
the
like
same every time.
Yeah, like people would smack each other's butts, and like you just do something stupid during that time, because Todd had his shining moment of doing his little montage with the girl. So the fight thing was like for everybody. Everybody did something somewhere inside the pit.
Right.
And at the end, there was always something. Somebody would hit somebody onto the pad, or they would push it, like whatever it was. So you and I, it clicked. We were like, we got to do a fight sequence. You and I were into the stunt thing. We wanted to be, do the stunts, and so we choreographed a fight sequence. And I've mentioned this a couple times in a few episodes. You fucking hit me in the face. And your brother, it was at the house. So we were at the house rehearsing, and we went full blown, we went full speed because we thought we had it down. We did have it down, and I think we just got a little. It
was just timing, the physical timing.
It was distance timing. It was on my end. It really was my fault. I got too close, and I think it just connected, man. And I dropped so fast. Your brother came out from his bedroom in the back and was like, "What the hell was that?" He sees me on the ground like, "Ah!"
He heard it.
Oh my god, that was so funny. So I had to go to work the following week. That guy, and I got the third degree by all the guys in the.
Well, in front of all these witnesses, I apologize for the black eye.
You apologize back.
But I mean, but
the fight.
It's one of those things where I was starting to get into stunts, because that was pretty much the beginning of the next 20 years of my life.
Yeah.
Pretty much as a stunt actor. So I was really super into that, and I was wanting to impress the right people. Yeah. And in my mind, the right people were the people that did the hanging. Like there's the guys that did the Knott stunt show during the day, but the people that did the hanging were just kind of, at least definitely prior to that, it was directed by who directed it prior to
it was that? Tom something.
Tom Clough.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's when RC was in it, and Randy, and
that was when it was good.
It was good. It was super good. It was cleverly written. And you know what? Ken Parks came in and did an amazing job with it too. But he didn't get the freedom that he should have gotten until years later. He was kind of a co-writer. And then once they gave Ken like full reins of the thing, it was just like, that's a good mix. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But Tom, it was more of kind of a Broadway-esque, like, it had a lot of production value.
It did.
Before it turned into kind of that blood fest. We can see the blood bag, like you can squish it and it doesn't matter kind of a thing. Like there was a time where it was just kind of, it went from this thing that was heavily choreographed and then it just kind of went into this thing, and then it became that again, but with different actors, different players at the top. But just that fight sequence,
that was a lot of fun.
Was one of those first confidence building things.
And we told nobody about it. Told nobody. We were like, we're keeping this to ourselves, and do it the first
because it played the same time every night,
same time.
and it didn't. Yeah, it didn't affect anybody else if we didn't tell anybody. So we just sprung it on them.
The funny thing was, everybody actually thought we were in a fight the first time we did it. Remember that?
Yeah.
Everybody thought, we were like, what the fuck is going on? And then they realized it was going with the sound.
Yeah.
And at the end, we did it, and I kicked you at the end, and you just laid there.
Oh, you did that spinning kick.
And
Yeah,
everybody
the
was
spinning
like,
kick.
yeah, and then everybody was like, what the fuck? That was so cool. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. God, yeah, that was so much fun. So much fun.
Too many fun memories.
And we would do that Cirque du Soleil balancing thing that we practiced forever.
In my backyard.
Your backyard. Like, we did everything at your house.
Yeah. What else? There were.
So then we ended up getting makeup.
Yeah.
And then we kind of split from being twins.
Yeah.
So this is where my timeline gets a little foggy. Okay. We get makeup. I become Lucky. You become Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How many years did you do Sweet?
With the grin. Yeah, Lucky. Okay. How many years did I do Sweet Cheeks?
Yeah.
90. Was that 99 or 2000 that we got makeup?
It was 99 because it was 99 because that's when the alley opened up.
Because I did Sweet Cheeks for 2 years before I went to Blue Man, I think.
Okay.
If my timeline is correct, which would make sense because I did Blue Man in 2001.
Okay.
So 99, 2000, Sweet Cheeks, and then I was at Disney helping open DCA. There's a sentence that ages me.
Wow.
I was at Disney helping open DCA back when we turned it from a parking lot into an amusement park. And I was opening ceremonies for that. And I remember my brother called me during rehearsals for opening ceremonies to DCA. And he's like, there's a message on the phone at home and it's from Blue Man Group. And they want you to go to New York for 2 weeks. And I was just like,
bye Disney.
Yeah, it was pretty much bye Disney and hello the next chapter of my life.
Yeah.
But we can get into that another time or whatnot. But we're talking about Haunt.
We'll get into that too as well. Because I really want the audience to know, like, once you go from Knott's, man, it takes you places. Take you. I don't know about now, but back then it did. So Sweet Cheeks, you start Sweet Cheeks. I become Lucky, and then
do you know how I got the nickname Sweet Cheeks?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I remember.
Do you want to tell it or do you want me?
You tell it. Okay,
so back in the day, back when we were, we were still we were seeking the attention of the vets, and they would go out and after Haunt, it would be the vets would go to Denny's, but they would always say out loud that they were going to Beach and Ball. No, was it Beach and Ball?
They would go to.
No, we would go to Beach and Ball, but we would tell them, we'd say out loud, "Oh yeah, Beach and blah blah blah."
Yeah,
basically
but it would be somewhere else.
Yeah, and then at some point we found out.
Can't keep
that really
meant
us, Beach and Ball. And we went one night. And man, I was nervous. I was super nervous. But it was someone that was a vet that let us know. So I wasn't super crazy.
No, because we were pretty much in the clique at that point.
Yeah. We were getting there. We were earning the respect. And they were like,
this is year one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. These are players in the grand game. And then it was it was late. I had a hoodie on, and I had a black hoodie on, and as some sort of hazing thing, the vets were chucking every condiment that was on the table at Denny's into my hood. So it was sugar packets, it was creamer, it was whatever was basically at each table. And I get home that night, and I had no idea that my hood was, because it was one of those things where it's like a frog in a boiling pot of water, right? So as the night goes on, just little sugar packets just start getting added to my hood. And I get home at night and I take off my sweatshirt and it's like a piñata was hit. Every single condiment from probably 3 tables worth was in my hood. And it was just, and it was all these sugar packets. I'm like, oh man, they got me good. And I felt, I mean, that was one of the greatest feelings to me.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, they've accepted me into their tribe.
In Chris's defense, we were fucking exhausted. This is after Haunt. Oh, yeah. This is, I couldn't even remember what run it was, but like clearly we had done
towards
a couple
the
nights.
end of the run. It was definitely towards the end of the run.
Yeah. So this is towards the end. It's clearly a couple nights in and we were just dead tired. I remember it because I remember them putting it in, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Christy give you Sweet Cheeks as name?
Here's the deal. Here's how Sweet Cheeks came to be. I took 2 of those sugar packets and I duct taped them to my ass cheeks.
I don't remember that.
The very next night. You don't know that?
I don't remember that.
You don't know that's why I got Sweet Cheeks?
No.
So it was Lisa Heath, I think, gave me Sweet Cheeks.
Okay.
It was either Lisa or it was Christy Gomes.
Okay.
One of them. But yeah, and it's not Christy Gomes anymore, of course. Yeah. But it was, I kind of, to let all the vets know that I got their message, because there was nobody there to be there with me when I reacted to this whole thing. I was like, I gotta let them know that I got the message. So I took 2 just classic sugar packets from Denny's and I duct taped them one to each ass cheek, and it was just on full display. And that's awesome. That's how Sweet Cheeks came to be.
That's awesome.
Most definitely. And it could have been, I don't know which one it was. It was either Lisa or Christy, but yeah.
Either way, you got a nickname, and that's a big deal. Yeah, I never got it. We got to design our makeups. We did.
That
let's talk
was
about
something that was incredible. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you tell me, what was your inspiration for your face?
I had a monster that I had been drawing whenever I was boarding class in junior high school, kind of growing up, like just those little sketches you make in your notes where you're just like, I'm not paying attention, I'm going to draw. And I always wanted to be an artist or like an animator. And then at another point, it was puppetry. I wanted to get in puppetry. But at that point, I was tooling around with graphic design and seeing what kind of characters I could draw. And there was this one character that had just sunken in eyes, and then had the cheeks, the nose, that wrinkled face go into that first cheek. And I was like, oh, let's keep the cheeks going. So there's that double thing going on. And then that was one of the designs that I handed to rest in peace, Mel.
Yeah. So she sculpted your face, right?
Mel sculpted my
That's
face.
So cool. That's so cool.
That was one of the last faces that she sculpted. I don't know who else she did that year, but yeah, I was told that Mel did mine. And I don't know if you can see it. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Sweet Cheeks.
Yeah, I'll put it up.
So yeah, I mean, I'll send this to you. You can get a better picture, but yeah, it was super fun. And it was one of those makeups that was real thin around your mouth, which means that there was a lot of articulation within the face. And so I could make these crazy faces and be like, and I could do whatever I wanted with this makeup because it was so thin on those creases. And I'm sure as a makeup designer, you know exactly how beneficial that is to having the performance come through. Because I mean, otherwise you get, what is it? I use it as an example. Back to Future 2. The makeup on Back to the Future 2, like Biff. In like the weird messed up timeline. And it's just like all the prosthetic, like it looks good if he's not moving.
Yeah.
But if as soon as he starts talking, it just looks like this solid thing that's on their
face. It looks
face.
like he has Botox.
Yeah, exactly. It's just shiny and just kind of like I am right now.
But
So
nowadays it looks normal.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, I particularly loved your face because of that reason. Like because you were so expressive in your face anyways.
Yeah.
That the skull mask did nothing for you.
It didn't do it. It was just that moving jaw, and as soon as
you really used that. You would do some really funny stuff.
I puppeteered my own face. That's what I did.
Exactly.
I literally used my own face as like this kind of.
And I have
which works great, and it looks great in the dark.
Yeah.
You know, when something like that's coming after you, it's like.
But the Sweet Cheeks face, man. Yeah, you worked the crap out of that thing, and it was very effective. It was very effective.
Yeah, super fun.
And you ran that for 2 years. So let's go into a little bit of like our, I would say our when we were retired. It was after the last hanging pre-show,
the best part of the night,
the best parts, the only footage I have, and it's us just fucking around, being stupid, not even scaring half the time.
It's your tired brain trying to be creative
and trying to entertain the people that are sitting around watching us.
It becomes some open mic night with physicality. Yeah, like it's just one of those things. It's like, I'm gonna try this thing I've never tried because it's the end of the night,
right?
And then that's when brilliant ideas are born too,
like the hammers.
Yeah, like the hammers. That was hilarious. As soon as we found out that
who started that,
I don't know. It could have been any of us, but what we found out that they squeaked when you hit things.
Yeah.
And then we found out that everybody and their mother had one.
Yeah.
And so it was a prop that we could easily access, and people were glad to give us, because what's funnier than giving your thing that you won to a monster so that you can smack the fuck out of another monster for your enjoyment. I mean, it's gladiator style
pure
fighting.
Entertainment. Yeah. So the fight that we have on that we have it's playing down here, like that one, like that was like a daily, for the most part it was a daily thing. With every night we would do something with those things. I remember taking somebody's without them knowing, and I hit something, I don't know what the hell I hit the ground. I scared somebody with it, because that's how it started. That's how it started
as a scare.
It started as a scare. I would smack it on the ground, and I remember
smack it on the ground, squeak, and then
I remember one night, and this is how it was all the freaking time. I would take something from a guest, I smacked it on the ground, and it popped. You remember that?
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, here's your hammer back.
Here's your hammer back.
And that was it. And they would just be like, oh, what the hell? And like nothing would happen. Nothing would come of it. That's the reason why we got away with so much stuff. Mainly because the guests were just entertained by it, and they just didn't care.
Right.
But like, with the trash can lids and the hammers, like we just did anything that could. We were like, we had moments that we were so freaking tired, we would run ourselves into the wall just for pure entertainment and slam our bodies against the wall just so we could have a reason to lay down.
I remember seeing there's video of that somewhere.
I have the video.
We just run full speed at the wall that was built around the ride. Ghost Rider was.
They were
being
building
built.
Ghost Rider, So Ghost Rider was being built, and that was
back when Ghost Rider was being built. You kids know.
Yeah. We used to take
wall was right in front of, in between basically the Geode store.
Yep.
And the the middle of the street basically.
Yeah.
It kind of wrapped around, and we would run full speed, and people would stop, because that's the thing is when a slider happens, everybody stops and looks at where it's going, and then to see the slider and everybody anticipating a scare, and they're like, oh, someone's gonna get scared, and this slider just goes right
into the wall,
and then just
lays there, and like, oh my god,
it becomes a comedy moment. It breaks that tension. It breaks it. it really makes those people that are super scared, that are actually scared shitless, just be able to have that breath of fresh air that's just like, oh, okay, I can still have fun.
But it's also funny too, because we also utilize that as a scare. Go down, like you slide, and I know like on the footage that we have, it's you go down, you slide, you slam, you go down, and I come up and I'm all like, oh, look, he's helping him, and they thought you were actually hurt, and you got up, boom, and you bolt right through the crowd,
and then both of us would shoot out at different directions.
Yeah, it would just scare the crowd.
That was that raptor.
Yep.
Before it was popular with raptors and shit. We would just say, yeah, you okay? And there's like, oh, the guy's helping him, and then we both get up and go boosh, straight out into the crowd that we had just formed. And we wouldn't even stay there. It was just like, boom, scare out through the crowd. Let's go down the street. Where are we going next? Boom. And it was always something next. It was always leave them wanting more.
Yeah. Like we would get crowd people.
Yeah.
Crowds right there.
And we would constantly leave crowds of people just as a crowd of people, and just be like, doesn't matter what's next. They had that experience. We're on to whatever's down the street here.
We're moving on to our next spot.
And that was super, super fun.
That was the good thing too, is that you and I always had different spots. We never like stayed in one. We always found multiple areas.
We enjoyed challenging ourselves, whether or not it felt like a challenge at the time. But it was just one of those things where let's always push the envelope and try something different, something new, because we have high standards for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I knew I liked about you right away, was the fact that I knew that you had integrity for your performance. You didn't do stuff just to do them. There had to be a reason for it. Yeah. You had to justify why you were doing it. And even in the moments of chaos, there was a reason. And that reason was always, it was a creative thing, or it was a means to an end kind of a thing, where it's like, why did you do that? Oh, that's why you did that, kind of a thing. And so, that was one of those super amazing teamwork things that we did, because we never really talked about it.
No, we just did it.
One of those things where we just did it, and it was unspoken. And it was that unspoken communication that I know for a fact helped me get that audition for Blue Man.
I think so.
I think it helped.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I know that I had a certain amount of skills to get there, but I think that those skills were cultivated and perfected probably during Haunt.
Yeah.
Because it was so easy.
Your confidence, I know for a fact, it really helped your confidence.
Yeah.
Because your transition from our first year to your last year at Haunt, man, was like night and day. And your skill level as well, your acting level as well, like everything. Because we became really close friends throughout that whole years I guess it was.
Yeah.
So I saw a huge progress in you. So when you became a Blue Man, like, I was your number one fan. I was instant proud. I'm like, dude, go do your thing, get away from this, and it was a transition for me when it came to Haunt as well, because I was like, you know what, let me go and figure out my own deal. And shockingly enough, that was like my ultimate downfall, because you and I worked so well together. Like, I was like, fuck, what do I do? So I created Ghost. That's when Ghost Rider came around.
Yeah.
And I was also trying my best. Some dumb reason, I wanted to be in Cirque du Soleil so bad. I was doing the whole gymnastics thing, and that's when I injured my knee. And then it just, my whole sliding career, everything was just downhill from there. But I was like, when you and we'll get in. Let's get into that. So you go through Haunt. And you go and you get the audition for Blue Man, make it. You go to New York for the 2 weeks that you're there, part of the audition, right?
Yeah, it was a 2-week
workshop, right?
Workshop audition,
right?
So basically, they taught you three pieces of the actual performing show. And then at the end of those 2 weeks, they put you, you learned all of that stuff, all those skills and the music. And then you put it all together and they put you in the makeup. And then they basically, at the end of that run, they decide whether or not they're going to keep you or not. And they did.
And so you give me this call and you're like, dude, fucking Blue Man. That's exactly how you said it.
I'm
a fucking Blue.
Yeah.
Like, yep, and you're all, guess where I'm going? Awesome. And now it's
fucking Vegas.
And selfishly enough, I was like, fuck yes. I was super happy for you in general, but more so selfishly enough, I'm like, yes, he's close.
Yeah. Well, that let me tell you how that conversation happened in New York. So I was rehearsing and my family was visiting. So they were in the room when I got the basically all of the knowledge of what was happening. So I was supposed to go to Chicago. There's a theater in Chicago where Blue Man performs. And that's where I was slated to go. And then what happened was I find out later, they came in while I was rehearsing in front of my family because they were invited to just watch us kind of go over some stuff. And then they said, you're going to Vegas. And I was like, oh, mind blown. And it was awesome and amazing because all of my friends and family are in Southern California. So it was just one of those things. I was 21 at the time, and being a 21-year-old in Blue Man Group in Las Vegas was a really big deal. And it was one of those things that I had never anticipated happening. I thought I was going to ease my way into maybe work my way up to the Vegas show, because the Vegas show was always the biggest and baddest of the Blue Man shows, because the other ones are a little bit more intimate. Vegas is just, it was 1,100 seats, I think. Big theater. And I come to find out that what had happened was one of the Blue Men, who is now one of my best friends, Matt Banks, he was rock climbing at Red Rocks and he fell about 12 feet and shattered his ankle. So they needed a Blue Man to go out to Vegas right away. And the other guys that I was auditioning with, there were two other guys, they were more East Coasters.
Okay.
So they decided to send the kid from SoCal to Vegas.
Makes sense.
To that side, and it changed my life.
It did, man.
It was
yeah. I remember going out there and spending like almost a week.
Yeah.
I got to live your life. Fuck, man. Vegas rockstar life right here.
Yeah, I should have saved so much more money while I was out there.
You were young, dude. Dude, trust me, I can go on all the money I should have saved. We were young and dumb. You know? And
all of my friends were in California, so every single time someone came out, it's just like, I got this, I got this, I'm good, I got this, and then it's like, okay.
Where did my money go? That was
fun. At least I have the memories.
That's right, exactly. That was cool. So you do the Blue Man. How many years did you do it?
3.5 years.
3.5 years, and then
so I did 3 years in Vegas and 6 months in New York. So I did 6 months in New York. Learned that show, which was Tubes, was the name of the show. Vegas was Live at Luxor at the time. And so I did Tubes, which was the very first show I ever saw of Blue Man. So that story, I don't know if you know that story. When I first saw Blue Man Group, I was with a theater tour with Fullerton College. So I was doing theater classes at Fullerton, and we all went on a New York trip. And that New York trip had two shows that was part of the trip. And basically we saw one big Broadway show. We saw Lion King, and then we saw one off-Broadway show, which was Blue Man Group. And I had done drumline in high school. I had already started my what I now know was my career in like clowning and physical comedy and performance through Halloween Haunt. Basically. Nonverbal comedy was all Haunt. Like that's the only place I got that training. I didn't get it at Fullerton. I got a little bit of musical theater training and acting. But once Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
You're what you where you first saw Blue Man.
Where I first saw, oh, right. So I saw Blue Man on this New York tour. And so we watched it, and my mouth was open the entire time. My eyes were open the entire time. My mind was open the entire time. And I said, where has this show been all my life? Internally. The show is phenomenal. It ends in this crescendo of energy that just explodes out of this tiny little building on the lower west side of New York, Manhattan. And as the energy is still kind of falling to the ground and the strobe lights are still kind of doing their thing, I turned to my buddy who was next to me, and I remember it was John Infante. I remember his name. And I just go boom right on the back of his neck. I turn to him, and I'm not even looking at him. I'm just like, I'm going to be in this show. I'm going to be like, I knew right then. It was just kind of like, if you've ever fallen in love with someone at first sight, or in love with a performance or something, anything, it's just one of those things that hits you, and and you're like, okay, I have to redesign how I look and feel and think about the world in order to realize this dream, because this is a dream that I know I can achieve. And I hadn't had that other than Halloween Haunt. Basically, Haunt was filled with little moments that I could anticipate, and I could see, 15 seconds into the future, and I go, oh, this is going to be fun. And then I try that, and they're like, oh, it was 3 times as fun as I thought it was going to be. And then it's like that new idea leads into another one. And then you're like, I'm going to share this idea with someone else. And that person comes up with a better version of your idea. And you're like, yes, let's do it together. Yep. And all that creative energy that in turn creates confidence within you. You're like, you can make those solid decisions for yourself and know that you're right. That happened for me in that one moment. And I was just like, okay, this is it. So from then on, I did whatever I could to find out when auditions were. And I went on 3 auditions total, over a course of maybe a year and a half of finding out when the auditions were. And yeah, it happened one day. I went to a Hollywood audition and got a call back, and the rest is history.
So you went to 3 separate auditions until you got that call back.
Correct. Gotcha. Yeah, okay. I went to the very first one, which the very first one you did back then was a professional drumming audition. So it's easier to teach a drummer how to act the show than it is an actor how to drum the show. Musically, the music comes first when it comes to Blue Man Group. You have to be able to gel and play with precise timing with not only the 3 guys on stage with you and the other 2 guys on stage with you, but there's an entire band and you're all linked with in-ear monitors, and it's easy technologically to do the job, but you have to make sure that you're gelling with people. And so, yeah, all of that just clicked into place, and I lost my train of thought again.
That's all good. So you go, right. So you do Blue Man for 3 years, mm-hmm. and move on. What did you do after?
After Blue Man Group, what happened was basically I was the lowest totem on the totem pole, because I was new and I was young and I was green. And I had done 3 years at Blue Man Group, but what had happened was 9/11 happened in 2001. And when that happened, they started a downsizing of all the companies. And so our company in Vegas was one of the last to be downsized. It kind of started in New York and went to Boston, Chicago, and then eventually to Vegas. And I was one of those that was like, oh, okay, well, we gotta, part ways, which was fine, because I felt myself in Vegas. I felt myself kind of going in circles. it was a very comfortable velvet kind of a circular thing. And I didn't see myself growing as a human or as a person.
Gotcha.
I just kind of felt stagnant. So I felt like it hurt at the time, but in retrospect, of course, it was perfect. It was exactly what I needed for me to move to the next level. And yeah, with that on my resume, I was able to eventually get into certain performance. Basically, I went back to Knott's Berry Farm, and I was on the stunt team, and I helped them open so I did back in 97. Okay, we're just going to flash back. Back in 97, 98, I had learned high falls. I was a train bandit at Knott's.
Right.
So Scary Farm 97 and Train Bandit Chris happened pretty much the same year. So I did Scary Farm, and then shortly after that, I transitioned into a Train Bandit. And so I was doing that. And then they were doing a show where they really needed someone to do a high fall. They needed one more body that could just do a high fall. And it was one of those things where I learned as a Train Bandit, I learned how to do a high fall, and I was really natural at it. And that was pretty much the start of my action stunt career in live shows. And so, yeah, high falls kind of became my thing, and they put me in the show as the plant in the old show. Do you remember the old show?
The wagon camp.
The wagon camp show that had the guy in the Hawaiian shirt that came from the audience. He was always taking pictures. Yeah, I was that guy. So I
remember that.
The young person that nobody thought was part of a stunt team because I had a really young face.
Yeah, you played that part perfectly.
And it was just, and that was also, part of my acting training, I guess. And I did that. And then when I came back from Blue Man Group, I got back with those guys and with Dave Bowman, who was head over there at the stunt, at the Berry Farm. And I had these skills coming in, and I had still wanted to do stunts. Like that dream never died. I wanted to do stunts before Blue Man. I did Blue Man because I had the skills, the musical skills and the acting skills, and I was naive and green enough to be to accept the process of what it is to be a Blue Man and not bring any ego or preconceived notions into the role. To
be trained.
Yeah. I was literally a clean slate, and they could just, so that was easy. But then I had never dropped the desire to be, an action star. That's just always, it's one of those things. It was just you always wanted to do that. When I was younger, my brother and I don't know if I told you this, but when my parents left the house, when we were in high school, we had collected all the foam rubber cushions from the neighborhood. So anybody that had a couch that was put out on the sidewalk, we would just go in and raid just for the foam rubber. So we had a stash of foam rubber in our barn in the back of our yard. We had a big giant trampoline. You remember the trampoline?
I do.
Yeah. So when my parents would leave, we would concoct these stunt rigs where basically we would be jumping from the roof of our house onto the trampoline and then doing a trick midair and then landing into this pile of foam rubber cushions. And that was one of those things that it's just that adrenaline of having the confidence of knowing what your body's going to do in a situation that most people on this planet would find out of control. It looks chaotic, but if you're doing the right thing, chaos can be controlled. And that all of that energy into one little motion, into one little movement, whether it's a high fall or a fight scene or some kind of stunt or a Cirque du Soleil kind of an act. I was fascinated with Cirque du Soleil. Oh yeah. They were pushing.
You introduced boundaries. Me to that.
Exactly.
Saltimbanco, right? Man.
Saltimbanco, Kidam.
Oh man,
You saw in Vegas, you saw Ka,
I
right?
did. Yeah.
Yeah. That one blew my mind.
Oh yeah.
And
Call was
that's the
amazing.
kind of stuff that was just like, oh, okay. So stunts don't have to be just stunts. They can be creative and beautiful and artistic. And so I was just constantly drawn to that. So when I went back to Knott's after Blue Man Group, that was one of the things that I really wanted to do with my life. And I felt like I put on pause for Blue Man Group. And not that I wanted to leave Blue Man Group in the past. It was just one of those things where I'm like, that was amazing. That was 3-4 years of my life that are, solid gold in my mind. And what's next? What's next?
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah. You were ready for that.
Because I was in Vegas seeing my life go in circles. I'm like, I need to do whatever's next for Chris. And so I thought stunts was it. And apparently I was right.
You were right. 20 years later.
Yeah. I'm still doing action shows and currently in one of the top action stunt shows globally, which is one of those things that makes my heart soar because it took a while and persistence pays off. But I did Knott's Berry Farm stunts. I did the old show, the Wild West stunt show with the plant. And then I was part of the stunt team when they redid everything and turned it into the not the current stunt show, but the one that was in between, Fool's Gold. Did you ever get a chance to see
I don't
that?
think I saw that one.
Yeah. So that was fun and exciting. And it was just one of those things where I felt like my needs were being met, but my creativity was still it felt like it was in a cage. And then Pirates Dinner Adventure happened.
So before we move to Pirates,
Yeah.
jog my memory. Did you do the hanging at all?
I did.
That's what I thought. I thought you did. The hanging.
So I did the hanging 2004 and 2005.
That's right. Okay. Because I know Aaron did too, right?
Yeah. He did 04 with me. He did 03, 04, and I did 04 with him, and 05. I can't remember if he did 05. I don't think he did 05.
I need to reach out to him because I want to get him on here as well because he did Monster for a little bit. And he, whether he remembers or not, he actually a key part of sliding tricks because he was the first one to do the slide to a backflip.
Slide into a back handspring.
Backflip.
Oh, he did a backflip?
I thought he did a backflip.
Knowing my brother, he probably did.
Yeah. So
he always had more balls than I did.
Yeah, he was.
He was the one that always broke his bones and
I could be wrong. I could be wrong about the back handspring too. But I know he did that as well. Because we were both trying to get it, do it. And,
while you and I were doing our thing, my brother was right there on the sidelines going, chomping at the bit. Like he was waiting for his turn.
Oh yeah.
And so when I kind of went and did Blue Man Group, he kind of came in to haunt and did his own thing. He had his own mask. And I think he had makeup at a certain point.
Yeah. See
he had my old face. He had sweet cheeks.
Okay.
Before Robert Brodvika.
Right.
So it went from me to my brother to Robert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get him on here so he can jog my memory a little bit because it gets foggy. Once you left, like a lot of pieces get foggy for me. Weird, but I remember a lot of things with him, and I know I scared with him quite a bit. But Anyways, so
Ghost Rider.
As Ghost Rider, yeah.
Yeah.
So, because you never worked with me as Ghost Rider, right?
I came back. I don't know if you remember this, but I came back while I was working Blue Man Group, and my hair was like bleached blonde. It was like that crappy ass do-it-yourself bleach job.
Yeah.
I came back and did a monkey character. So I had like a monkey face, and I had the arm extensions, and I tooled around. And Craig Harold let me come back for like
a night or two,
couple weekends.
Oh, interesting. I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where I got hired. I came back for like just literally a couple weekends just to come and play.
Wow.
and they let me do that. And
You
that was
dude,
also,
like, I remember,
and
like,
that you were
memory
Ghost
gets-
Rider that time, but
Okay.
yeah, because you had the long hair and you had the long things hanging from your hips, like all those strips and stuff like that. That's what I remember. And the hat, that was such a great face.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
Great character.
Well, when I found out you designed it yourself, I was
That's my first sculpture. That's what
like, yeah.
took me to this.
Yeah, see, that's you're doing what I thought I was gonna want to do. I wanted to get into special effects makeup.
It's funny because like talking with you, and a lot of it I had heard. I just because I'm old,
Mm.
but you talking about you wanted animation,
Mhm.
graphic stuff, and back then I wanted to do stunts and all that, and here
Yeah.
we kind of flipped. I'm in animation,
Yeah,
and art, and you're into stunts, and it's
it happens.
you know what? It's just like,
Birds of a feather.
and it's crazy too because like you did Blue Man. We still stayed in touch, but it really faded out. And
Yeah.
we just lost touch. And you did your thing, and I went my thing, and and like we didn't talk to each other for a long time.
Yeah,
But like,
it's just basically when you had a family, like, and I was like, I started, oh yeah, but I just, yeah, we just kind of grow apart as people
it
do.
happens because like
Yeah.
I went on to the whole the visual effects route and continued doing your stunts and rest in that, and then I saw you at the Jedi thing, the
Yeah.
final day of the Jedi show,
Yeah,
and
with
it
Scott.
was like, yeah, and it was like we just saw each other
What?
a week ago. It was like, dude, what's
Yeah.
up? And although you were there with your like your show family and doing your thing, and you were preoccupied with that, but it was still like so amazing, like to see you that there. And I remember being at Disneyland once, and I saw somebody, and they're like, "Oh, hey, Chris is working," and I'm like, "Working where?" And like, "Oh, he's at the Jedi Academy thing." And I'm like, "Oh shit, let me go over there." And I went over there, and I went inside to where they have all the inside the where the American Sinks. They had all the
Launch Bay.
Launch Bay. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
They had the Jedi, and I went in there, and they're like, "Go see," because he was working with like the kids the last time they saw you. I can't remember who it was. And I'm like, oh, and I couldn't find you. And I'm like, fuck, I was so disappointed.
And then you saw me like just
and
a little bit
then I
after
see you
that.
later after. Yeah, it was. But I think that was like a few months after Scott and I saw.
Yeah.
But that was cool. So you moved on to Pirates.
Pirates Dinner Adventure.
Pirates
I
Dinner
helped
Adventure.
open Pirates Dinner Adventure.
How did that come about?
That was something. One of the guys that was on the stunt team with me at Knott's Berry Farm, his name was Christian Stokes. He worked Pirates Dinner Adventure in Florida, and they were opening up a new show here at Wild Bill's, right down the street from Knott's. And I had no idea what it was. And he said he did his little elevator pitch to me because he was trying to find guys to audition, and he knew that I had a certain skill set. So I went, and I auditioned for, what did I audition for? I auditioned for the Yellow Pirate, which is he's more the swordsman. And I got a call back to that, but then something happened where they needed a captain. And I had done musical theater at Fullerton College, so I had a bit of a musical background, and there was parts of the captain role that were sung. And so I went in, and during that audition, I auditioned with someone who was auditioning for the female character, the Treasure, the captain's wife. And little did I know that person was going to end up being my wife.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. We both opened, my wife's Cindy Mendez, and she well, it was Cindy Bellender and then Cindy Schultz, but it's now Mendez, and we auditioned together for Pirates. And I remember her audition, which is bizarre to me, because I didn't remembering her audition until after I got to know her, and we started becoming friends and started performing on stage. And then I was like, oh yeah, I remember her audition. I remember she got my attention. And it was one of those things where it was just like, oh, that's a solid voice. That's a solid face. That's a solid body. That's a solid everything. This woman's got it all.
Yeah.
And then it was just one of those things where I was seeing someone else, she was seeing someone else. And then for a couple of years, maybe 2, close to 3 years, we were just stage partners. Basically, we were good friends. But it wasn't until we each got rid of our respective boyfriend / girlfriends kind of a thing. And it was just, it was one of those things where I kind of felt it deep down inside. I knew that I had a spark with this woman, and it was one of those things where it was a Valentine's Day and I decided to pull the trigger. And so I texted her and I just said, thinking about you. And I sent that, and I was just like, I don't know where this is going to go, but that's kind of what I'm feeling right now. And could be the Merlot that I just drank, but it's okay. And yeah, shortly after that, we hit it off and started dating, and then the rest is history. So, yeah, we are celebrating our 10-year anniversary this September.
Oh, congrats, dude.
Going to Hawaii.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So can't wait. It's been not just 10 years. We were dating before then. So it's been about 13 magical years. And yeah, so that was a tangent that I went off on.
Oh, that's fine.
Based off of some other question you asked.
I asked, how long did you do Pirates?
Pirates Dinner Adventure. Yeah, I did that from the opening day, 2006 to 13 years later, basically.
Holy crap, really?
Yeah, I did 13 years with Pirates.
That's not going on anymore, right?
It is.
It is going on. Okay.
It is, yeah.
So after the 13 years of Pirates, what made you leave?
COVID.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I was still
COVID
on the roster.
situation.
I was still on the roster when COVID hit.
Wow.
But I was also full-time at Disney.
Okay.
At that point. So I had worked on and off at Pirates. There were a couple gigs that I did while I was with Pirates that definitely set me off different tangents in my life. I worked for Disney. I did my first AGVA gig. AGVA is a union.
Yeah.
American Guild of Variety Artists. So the union actors at Disney are under AGVA. And my first AGVA show was Indiana Jones in 2008. I was Indiana Jones for the Summer of Hidden Mysteries. And
that's a Disneyland?
In Adventureland.
Really?
Yeah. It was I was friends with Indiana Jones.
Gotcha.
Wink, wink. Yeah, and it was one of those things where the Crystal Skull movie had just come out.
Gotcha.
Right? So the one that we don't talk about, but still happened.
And the next one
out.
we won't talk about either. So
I don't know. I love Indy. Come on, do them right.
Yeah.
So the Crystal Skull came out, and they had a little show that they did in it was the Aladdin's Oasis. So right now it is the new tropical tiki bar that's like the backside of Tiki Room.
Yeah.
And so we did a little show there, but then we did a kind of a random acts of indie. That's what we called it. And it was basically little stunt fights that popped up around Adventureland that we didn't advertise. They weren't, you couldn't look at a guide map and see the show times. It was something that happened naturally throughout the course of the day. And it was always after one of those shows, but the shows weren't really scheduled. And so I had the map to the Temple of the Forbidden Eye, which is the ride. And there was a big guy in a turban trying to kill me. And basically, cool. it was super fun and only lasted for a summer. And then I went right into, I did the LA Opera. Did you know that?
I had no idea. No.
Yeah. So I performed with the LA Opera as
crap.
an ensemble member from 2008 to 2010. And we did the Ring Cycle, which is Wagner opera, which is altogether it's 17 hours of opera. So it's 4 separate operas, starting with it's basically the ring cycle is loosely, I mean, Lord of the Rings is loosely based off the ring cycle, which is Germanic kind of lore. And it's that basically the blonde fat lady with the braids with the breastplate and go, yo,
Yeah.
All that is Wagner's ring cycle.
Okay.
So we did that with a German director named Achim Freyer, and he treated the stage like an easel, if that makes sense. So the whole stage was raked. I'm going to do it sideways. It was raked 30%. So that's this steep. So the audience is out this way, and then the stage rakes up 30. It's 30-foot drop in the back.
Okay.
And then that whole thing is also a turntable.
Oh, wow.
Right. So that's spun around. And then the whole front part could lift up, and it looked kind of like the Hollywood Bowl, so that they could show all the dwarves and elves in the underworld. And then that would go down. And it was just massive, massive undertaking. And that was 2 years of my life. And it was 4 operas. Each opera was close to 4 hours long.
Wow.
And I got to double Placido Domingo.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Holy
so
crap.
that I can share some pictures with you. But
yeah, send them to me and I'll throw them up. Priority.
Oh yeah. Oh God, I know I have some kind of. Oh, here's a picture. Okay, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but this is me in the middle of the stage. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
just
so there's a lot of lightsaber type stuff.
Yeah, it looks like
those are swords. So the German, that's me in the middle, and I'm doubling Placido Domingo. So the whole stage was raked, right? So they had these counter rakes. So if the stage is like this, they had these counter rakes that would go out and go straight and down, that basically provided level land for the opera singers to sing from. So they did, and then so they would sing about what they're doing, and we would act out physically what they were doing on the stage. Yeah, so that was a couple of years of my life that were amazing. And
that sounds like it.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where I never knew that my physical, because it was all based off physicality. Like I was a dance ensemblist. I was part of the dance ensemble, which I'd never been part of for any other shows, especially opera, especially LA opera. It was just one of those things that they were looking for trolls and giants and people that could stilt walk and circus performers and contortionists and people from all different walks of life. And so the cast that they built for this had all those different elements within the talent that they chose. And my talent was, I guess I displayed at the audition, I could really be that physically imposing kind of a figure, but also I could be like a gremlin.
Okay.
And so my character work as an actor started really kind of popping, and I was finding little different ways where, oh, I can maybe do this as a career. And just every little thing helps you, and you have no idea when you're going to use it. But yeah, that happened. And then I went back to Pirates.
That was your Cirque du Soleil?
That was my Cirque du Soleil. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
That was definitely an amazing opportunity. And so, yeah. And so I got Blue Man on my resume. I got LA Opera on my resume. What's next? And then basically it was kind of, I want to set my sights towards Disney, because Disney has always been my favorite. I had an annual pass back in the 90s. It was like daycare for a lot of
really was
for high school. Like we would finish high school and everybody would just get in the car and go to Disneyland.
That's
and we'd
pretty
spend
much
the evening. And
before COVID, that's what it was too.
Exactly. Yeah, you just go to Tomorrowland Terrace and see some live bands and hang out. And
I miss those days.
Good, clean fun. But yeah, so I kind of always wanted to, so I did that indie thing in 2008. I did LA Opera, and then I saw an audition announcement for a show called Fantasy Fair the Royal Theater. And that was at Disney. And it was just one of those things where all the skill levels lined up with what I had, what I could bring to the table. And it just mixed, it gelled. I hit that audition with everything I had, and it was enough. And I got hired at Disney that year. That was 2013. And I've been with them ever since. I'm still on furlough. But prior to COVID, I was full time at Disney with multiple shows of knowledge for about 6-7 years.
And there's one particular show that I want to talk about.
Let's talk about it. What is it?
I didn't get to see it live, but I found out that you were a part of it when it went away. I saw it. I saw you perform on.
Oh man,
fucking Aladdin.
The
show that they got rid of for Frozen. Don't even get me started with that.
Which I was also in, by the way.
Which is fine. You're working. Okay. That's all good.
That's okay.
But they got rid of Aladdin, which was one of my favorite shows, and I never got to see you perform as Mr. Genie.
The Genie.
When I found out you were Genie, I was just bored, and I never got to see you. And that was a lot of it had to do with me because that was just stupidity, not going and seeing the show. I was just like, I don't want to wait in the line.
I got video. I'll send you.
Yeah, videos. Please send it. Yeah, please send it. I want to share that with everybody.
My brother and my dad came and shot like a multi-camera thing.
So perfect.
But yeah, that was the most amazing role I've ever played in my life.
And I heard you were
hands down
pretty fucking amazing.
Thank you.
What I saw, I mean, I was like, that's great. So
it was all the things. It was everything I had done, to make my friends laugh in high school. Yeah. It was everything that I loved about the actual character of Genie. It was everything that Robin Williams is. And one of the greatest compliments I ever got, and it happened multiple times from different people, was that my vocal tone was the closest to Robin Williams of all the cast members.
So when you got that role,
Genie,
like what did you do to prepare yourself?
This was not the first time I had to audition for the role.
Oh, okay.
So this was kind of one of those things that, like Waterworld, it's one of those things where I'm like, I can see myself doing this. I'm going to try for it. And then I auditioned and it just wasn't the right time. I didn't give the right performance during the audition, whatever it is. I mean, that's the actor's life, right?
Yep.
You just suck it up and do another one. You got to let things roll off your back real easy, because there's a lot.
Duck's back.
Yeah, it's just water off duck's back. It's just one of those things that you have to grow a thick skin, and especially Southern California, where the competition is super, super high. And it's just one of those things where you're going to get rejected a lot more than you're going to get hired. And it's just one of those things that once you accept it, you become part of that system, that process that accepts it. And then you can roll with those punches. As soon as you start denying it and you're like, no, it's all ego, by the way. But I'm better than this. I'm the one they should have hired. This is my dream. Like, yeah, sure. But it's also that other person's dream, and that person's dream, and that person's dream. That person went to school a little longer than you. Sorry.
Yep. This person was more prepared than you were at this time. But
it all depends. It all comes down to a millisecond of your audition. You have no idea what part of your audition is gonna make or break your audition. So that's the amazing journey that always happens every single audition.
So you get the role.
So I got the role. I auditioned for Genie 2 years prior to that. Didn't get it. I auditioned for Jafar the year after that. Didn't get it. And then they had auditions coming in, and whatever I did right. And I had, what was I doing? I think I might've been doing Fantasy Fair for about a year and a half, which is in Disneyland. And so I had gained a little bit of traction and a little bit of clout, I guess, as an AGVA performer in the resort. But I still didn't really have a name for myself. Like, it wasn't until I started getting into multiple shows like Jedi and Citizens of Buena Vista Street, that is just one of those things that it's, you know, like, people start talking, you know, about you and your talents. And I've been in that position before where I'm like, oh man, this person is perfect for that role. And I might have said that phrase to just the right person who could have passed that along to someone else. And so I don't know the circumstances surrounding my being hired for Genie, but I'm certainly happy with them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just one of those dream roles. Robin Williams is a mentor of a comedy mentor. Like, he is just one of the greatest comedians of all time. And it was his off kilter, his random, seemingly random chaos that he brings, but it's all controlled by some mad scientist in his brain. And everything, he will say something and you will not know why he said something until 4 minutes later, and he'll come back to it and you'll be like, that's why he's like, his brain just works so differently from everybody else. And that is completely reflected in the Genie character, which is super, super attractive to me. So I went in with everything I had and got it and nailed it. And then I had some friends that were already playing the role that I looked up to, and I catered my performance around what I knew they did that worked. Each one of them had things that I'm like, nah, it's not me. It's not me. But they had little things where I'm like, oh, I can do that, but I can do that this way, this other way. And then that started getting my creative wheels turning. And then once I became, after about 6 months of doing the role, I became comfortable with my decisions on stage. Then I became an actor the actor I didn't know I was, which was more of an able to take something and improv within parameters. I was scared shitless. I still am scared shitless of improv. I don't like the pressure, but I found out through this whole very volatile process of learning the Genie role that I'm actually pretty good at it. And that was the worst thing I could come to terms with.
You're always afraid of the thing that you're, and
yeah,
you just don't know it.
You're always good at the thing you're afraid of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so
crazy.
It's that nervous, that scared shitless, I am just jumping off this cliff kind of a feeling, and your body and your brain and everything telling you, what are you doing? And then you just going, and just leaving all that behind and committing to something. And that is infectious. And that is something that once I started making those choices on stage and surprising myself, and then getting a positive reaction from an audience that had no idea who I was prior to this show, but then they give you this love and support because you're performing this role that is so beloved to so many people. And when you do it justice, when you do that role justice, and you don't manipulate it and make it instead of taking the role and manipulating it and making it yours, it's kind of like you're wrapping your skills around what's already there, which is a solid character. And once you are able to do that on stage in front of, I don't know how many people, is probably 1,500. I don't know, maybe 2,000, could be 2,000 in that theater. It's just that is so infectious, and that energy is just, I mean, it feeds your soul. And that was one of those things that was like, okay, all right, what's next? And then they pulled the plug on it.
They did, yeah.
And I had 2 glorious years as that role, and then they pulled the plug, which was still an extension from the original plug they were going to pull like in 2011. I don't know if you heard about that.
Oh.
Yeah, they were talking about taking Aladdin out in 2011 and replacing it with like a Toy Story type of story, a type of thing that was on a cruise ship.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, that didn't work out because the fans went, "No, we love Aladdin so much.
Yeah.
What are you doing?"
Yeah, and I get why they did the Frozen thing, man. Frozen was huge.
It was
huge. So,
cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, and I get it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't shocked when they were going to do Frozen, but it was disappointing. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. But, what did you do in Frozen?
I was friends with the reindeer. Sven.
Oh, okay.
Sven the reindeer. Yeah. It was 100% puppetry.
Oh, wow.
And choreography.
So you go
but it was saying everything on that stage to saying nothing on that stage.
Wow.
And it was still because of the fact that puppetry is something that I've always been fascinated by. And my parents joked about leaving me in a basket on Jim Henson's doorstep. Like, that's how much I was into puppets back when I was younger. And so to be able to manipulate and articulate a puppet that is so technologically beautiful that you can create just with a few simple little pulls and clicks and stuff like that and twists, you can create this character that is organic and looks like it's 1,200 pounds on stage, but it actually only weighs, a fraction of that. It's just one of those things that was, I can be happy doing both of those things. I can be happy being the mouthpiece of the loudest character Disney has ever created, the most craziest, zaniest thing. And I can go from that to Sven.
That's awesome.
It's just, and I can be happy, just as happy, because it's just that bug, that laughter that you hear. It's just infectious, and it's never going to go away. We found out it was tested very hard by COVID. And now we're realizing, I think, in this, I want to say, renaissance of live performance, where we're starting to see concerts and we're starting to see musicals and Broadway start to come back and theme parks. And it's just one of those things that I think people have been missing live interaction.
Oh yeah.
You can only Netflix and chill for so long, which is nice. But I mean, it's just that human interaction, that energy that a live audience will always give you 100% of the time is just infectious. I can't give it up. It's something I will always be chasing.
I don't know. I mean, it's so insane to hear like your I wasn't sure how far we were going to get in. We were going to stop Haunt. Audience members there,
we kind of moved away from Haunt.
We're probably you're watching this for the Haunt stuff, and it's like,
who's this Chris guy with
but and it's the beginning. Like, we were just starting out this podcast, and you're your and your journey go from little old Haunt to the LA Opera.
Yeah, but that's just the start of my journey. So all these people that are doing Haunt right now, they could be at the beginning of their journey. They could be in the middle of their journey. They could be at the end of their journey.
Well, I mean, it's the thing. It's like
some people that have. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know if you know Rissy Dollins. Rissy, she Avengers now.
Good friend of hers.
Yeah, she's same thing. She's following in your footsteps. I can't imagine. So it's amazing to hear parts that I missed. Not just missing you as a person, for here. Personally, I want to thank you for sharing that with me.
Absolutely.
Everybody that's with the probably watch this.
That's all right. That's all right. We'll get more after tonight.
Yeah, and I would love to have you back. Just
Sure.
even as a special guest to a special host, like a special guest host. Have you come on when we have Scott's idiot ass on here?
Oh yeah.
That'll be
a completely different conversation.
This is I know he was looking forward to talking with. Yeah, it was a busy time for him. Yeah, we will. So we'll have you on. I want to get you and your brother on together. Like,
that would be fun.
I miss both of you guys.
At the same time, that would be an interesting show.
It would. I think it would be a lot of fun. Aaron's got a huge history at Haunt, and where he's
just
at
like
now
you and
life.
me, like triggering memories.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Right.
Well, and the fact that I lived with him for for a few years, so
yep,
got a bunch of memories with that alone.
no, super fun.
Well, we'll end it here.
Okay.
I want to thank you, man, for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. You're such a busy dude, and I appreciate you taking your time out to join us. And this is good to hear your story, and I hope everybody else enjoyed it.
Thanks, everybody else.
Yeah. So we will end it here, and see you guys on the.
All right. Take care. Behind the Mask.